Expedition 33 is going to be one of these games that people are going to be talking for a while. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I actually believe it wouldn't be my cup of tea, in fact. And I was pleasantly surprised on how much I liked playing this game. I liked the story, I liked the atmosphere, I liked how this game seems so romantic, so French. I liked how, while emotional, it can still be very funny and lighthearted. It knows how to break that tension of that sometimes extreme sadness with something very lighthearted that gives you some room to breathe. The gameplay is new and interesting, refreshing. It's turn-based with action a little bit mixed. Even after I finished the game, I found myself logging back in. Well, not logging, it's not online. But you get it. Opening the game and just, I don't know, wanting to hang out a little bit with the world and enjoy the music and all that. So I really loved it. It's definitely something special. It's not without flaws, but overall, it's an amazing experience, and I would say it's definitely one of these games that are gonna linger. At least I really hope so, and I hope to see more like this. Just to clarify, I'm not going to say any spoilers. I am just going to brush on the things that I found good and why I found them good. Let's talk about the combat. The combat is basically a mix between turn-based and action. I would say there was a lot of strategy when it came to building your build, building your characters, and strategy in that sense. When it came to adapting in the middle of the fight, there wasn't a lot of it. It was more like it felt like I had like a rotation with my characters. It didn't feel very tactical. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just clarifying because I know a lot of you love Baldur's Gate. There is less flexibility in terms of like what you can do. So it does feel like your characters end up having a rotation. I personally really like the parrying and the dodging. I hardly ever dodged in this game. I know the dodge is not a waste of time. I completely understand the concept, but to my brain, why dodge when I can parry? And if I parry, I can do more damage on the enemy's turn. So the dodge window is 5 times more forgiving than the parry window, and the parry window is the same on normal and expert, if I remember correctly, and it's a little bit increased on story mode. I never tried the game on the story mode, but if you want to avoid dodging and parrying, I don't think you really can in this game. It is something that you will need to get used to. One of the aspects of this game that most shines when it comes to gameplay is the build making. The build making, you can play with any different composition of party members. It works. You can, basically every single weapon of every single character can lend to a build. The system of Luminous allows for so many interesting builds and gives you so much freedom on what you can put and share with each character. I love how it's not limited. You don't need to like grind your pictos in each character. It already unlocks you all characters. The build making of this game is honestly, hands down, fantastic. I have some hiccups in Act 3, but I'll get more into that later. The bosses of this game are very well done. I would be fighting any random boss at any given time, and random people would stop by in my stream and ask, is this the final boss? So every boss fight felt very well designed. Not only like music, but their moves, their visuals, the way that the attacks and everything moves is gorgeous. Shout out to the end of The Duelist. When I killed that boss, the way that the boss and my characters like, kind of like, there was a cutscene, I just started clapping. It was just like beautiful. Also, you can come across some side bosses that are extremely difficult. Usually bosses that have the name chromatic versions of an enemy. They tend to be a very hard version of that enemy. And if you're really skilled with your parries and your dodges, you should be able to kill anything, even if you have a very bad build, even if you only use one character. So this game really lends itself to the possibility of a lot of challenge runs if you're into that and if you're looking to do something like this. Whenever you tell a sad story, it's really hard to not make it overwhelming. Something really sad might happen, but then soon enough, there is a relief. There's either a funny moment or something that allows you to think of something else, something that allows you to move on, something that doesn't let the sadness linger. The dialogue, the way it was written, it was so good. It was so funny. It actually felt like people were interacting with one another. I love how the characters, they interrupt each other as they're talking. It feels very natural, like they're actually having a conversation, especially when the feelings are very intense. Sometimes they cut each other and they talk fast, and it feels very natural, even though a lot of times they were not even recording those voice lines interacting with each other. So the audio editing and the audio design of the game is also quite excellent. The music is just, goes well with everything. They also know how to use silence really well. There has been very few times in gaming that I've seen the power of silence. And this game, whenever there is absolute silence, it's just marking. And they did that very well. The best thing about this game, I think it was the characters. Because you don't really create your character in this game. You play as existing people in this existing world, and you're a part of this group and this adventure for basically the entire game. And it's very important that in games like this, the characters, they fit in this group, they vibe along, and they're all, likable. Even though they all have their little flaws and their quirks, they're still, they feel like people. And this game did an amazing job at that. I do believe that Lune and Ciel, they felt like the most outsiders of a group. I find that the other characters, they vibed even better. It's not that they didn't vibe with the group. It's just that, especially Ciel, she felt like she didn't interact as much with everyone else in the things that happened. And I feel like that's why her and Lune, they feel a little bit more like side characters than the rest of them. There's a lot of things that ground those characters in the game. Like whenever they have like a certain quirky thing about them, they'll usually talk about it. Sometimes they'll even be made fun of for certain things. And I find that to be very sweet. The acting in Expedition 33 is one of the things that make the game what it is. It's just so exceptional. But Jennifer English and Ben Starr, they were exceptionally amazing. There was not a single moment that I ever doubt the emotions behind their characters or their characters' motivations, or sometimes when they would try to hide something, they could translate that really well. Andy Serkis, oh my god, the way that he brought Renoir to life, it was absolutely fantastic as well. Rich Keeble, his deep voice from Monaco was perfect for somebody that really was into collecting feet. Rich performances with Ben, Verso and Monaco bantering as friends was just absolutely perfect. They really felt like good friends, just, bantering with each other, and the way that the characters connected with one another, the way that they were brought to life by the voice actors, they were all fantastic. Aski, oh my goodness. Aski is the most adorable, the sweetest thing. I think Aski is so unique. The way that he talks, the way that he says things. Those quotes from Aski, they will be remembered for a while. Same for Monaco, and, God, I hope that when the award time of the year comes, lots of those actors from Expedition they get recognized because they did absolutely fantastic, all of them. Even in like the story, you know, those story journals that you can randomly find in games, even in these, they're amazing. The game looks absolutely stunning. I don't know what more to say about it because, I mean, it's obvious. You can literally just go and look at the game and it looks good. The characters, they look fantastic. I love how the cutscenes are not static at all. Everyone knows the music of this game is amazing, and it's, you know, there's people who never play the game and yet they probably have listened to the entire music of this game over and over again. There were very tiny moments where the audio mixing had some little hiccups and the music became extremely loud, and sometimes the voice is really low, but those were very punctual moments that are very easy to patch. I don't think it's gonna be relevant in a month from now. Let's talk about what I think are the weaknesses of this game. For a game this beautiful and with this quality, the lip syncing during the cutscenes, especially because those cutscenes were so amazing, the lip sync definitely felt a little bit out of place. It could have been better. Build loadouts. For a game that gives you so many choices with so many builds that you can have that are amazing, you can't have a single build loadout. Swapping, trying out different builds, it was kind of like a pain. I really wish it was a little bit easier because I felt like I would have experimented and tried out a lot more if I could set up a loadout. You know, if I had something that worked, I wish I could save it and then I could try something on a new tab just so I could mess around and maybe find something else. Another thing that I didn't like was the difficulty settings. I cannot say much about the story mode because I didn't try, but I started the game on normal mode, and after spending less than an hour just trying to make up some random build from the Pictos and Luminas that I had, my characters became so strong that normal was just not viable for me to play anymore because I would one-shot everything. So I bumped the difficulty to expert, and expert, things are so tanky and they do so much damage that really limits the viability of healing and tanking or any kind of build in that aspect a lot. And the most optimal way to go about is not worrying about defenses at all and parrying and dodging everything, and using shields. Shields, they kind of become the only reliable way for you to stop damage from one-shotting you. And I find that to be very damaging because it takes away from the depth of the game. It takes away from it when an increase in difficulty takes your options other than adds depth to the game. And given that, the moment that you get to Act 3, the game kind of loses the entire balance. Up to the end of Act 2, everything seems fine. Like, the difficulty definitely increases as you go and so on. The moment you get in Act 3, you're either going to get destroyed or you're going to destroy everything. Odds are that you will get in Act 3, you're going to get destroyed, and then after spending 1 hour in it, you'll be strong enough to be able to one-shot the final boss. So the balancing of the difficulty in Act 3 is definitely a problem as of right now. Also, how the game goes into open world mode, it also makes it a lot harder to visualize the places that you should go. Like, for example, what should be a place for an early Act 3 or late Act 3? There is not a lot of things that tell you much about it. So anything could happen to you there. So good luck. It's the Wild West. A few days ago, I got to hang out with my real-life friends. They play video games sometimes, but not as much as I did. And I actually dragged them to my computer and I opened Expedition 33 and I showed them some of the beginning cutscenes that I found special because I was hoping that they would try the game. This game was truly special to me. some of the topics discussed in this game, some of the feelings, some of the themes discussed in, got me thinking about how I go on about my life and how I deal with some of these topics. And there is not really many games that allow you to reflect on things like this. I found myself crying from quotes that I read on Twitter from certain characters because certain quotes were very touching to me, to things that were discussed very carefully in the game in a way that really entered my heart. I know it sounds like I'm complimenting this game too much, but it really is this good. I find myself randomly thinking about the lore and the story, and when I finished playing the game, I started talking with the game director and the director about the game for hours and hours. I was just not ready to let go, you know? I wish this game had more replayability. I wish there were more, like, a little bit more of choices and consequences. Not because I don't think that the game has enough depth, but I wanted to have more reasons to go and explore more. I wish more of those feelings and more of those choices would have been explored, because simply they did an amazing job and I wanted more of it. If you haven't played this game yet, I am not going to recommend you the game. I'm going to order you to play the game right now. And if you don't like it, please come back and tell me that you didn't, and I'll take it. I'll take it. But it's really good. So odds are you will like it. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe, because it helps me a lot. Also, I have a lot of thoughts on the lore, the world, especially the endings. And since I wanted to keep this video spoiler free, if you guys are interested in me making a video exploring the lore and the endings, especially after the rambling that I had with the director and the writer, let me know. And maybe I'll make one. Thank you. Bye-bye.